Ladies and gentlemen, it is week 17. The holiday season is in full swing in between Christmas and New Year. We got Eagles Cowboys week 17. Well, it looks like a boring game on paper based on the way the two teams have played. It's a big game with a lot of implications. Let's talk about it.
Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nicky Steves! Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy always keeps things real. I'm 50 statue think they slate, dropping unrealistic mad 2K takes for the kick. Even though cats like that get views closer to the millie, never hear me preach LeBron to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22, authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way, sports content for the reals to fill the day.
Hello, happy Saturday afternoon. It is the Saturday between Christmas and New Year's. Wherever you're at, I hope you're having a great and safe holiday. If you're spending extra time with your family, I hope you enjoy that time. Cherish it because life is short. You never know how much time you have left with your family. So I encourage you guys, embrace it and enjoy that time while you have the opportunity to. With that being said, it's time for what you guys came here for. To talk about the Eagles Cowboys week 17 matchup. We're doing this live on my channel. That's a link to it right there. The stream on my channel and the Hardcore Sports Network. So that way you can drop a like on both sides of it. So yes, sir, we getting right into it. But before we get into the Eagles Cowboys, there is a bit of a somber news that I got to talk about related to the Eagles. Former Philadelphia Eagle linebacker and Eagles Hall of Famer Bill Bergey passed at 79 just recently after battling cancer. Real quickly, we're going to talk about Bergey a little bit and pay tribute to him, because he was a key part of that first Super Bowl run we ever had as a franchise when we went against the Oakland Raiders back in 1980 under Coach Vermeil. So real quickly, we're going to pay tribute to quickly going to talk about Bill Bergey, Philadelphia Eagles legend. There's, you see a shot of him right there. It says Philadelphia. See, Bill Bergey, a 5-time Pro Bowl linebacker who played in a Super Bowl for the Eagles, died Wednesday. His son Jake confirmed that he died of cancer. He was 3-time Eagles team MVP during his era. He was inducted into the Eagles Hall of Fame in 2009. And Rich Bergey, apparently he was drafted by the Bengals in 69. He made one Pro Bowl appearance for them, and he was traded to the Eagles in 74. And that's where he dominated as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. He found the right system there, making the Pro Bowl 74, 76, 77, and 78 seasons. It was named to the All-Pro the 1974 and 75 seasons, but didn't make the Pro Bowl in 75, interestingly enough. But, yeah, Bill Bergey was one of those early Eagles greats. He's one of those all-time Eagles great players. He was there under Dick Vermeil. You know, Berkey was a big fan of Vermeil. He played hard for him. He even said, I always had a sense that we were moving in the right direction. Even in the early years under Vermeil, when the wins were few and far between, we could see the intensity of the play picking up. Dick's personality rubbed off on us. So so that's right there. Yeah, Berkey was a member of those Eagles teams under Dick Vermeil that made Super Bowl 15 against the Raiders. So shout out to Dick Vermeil. Greg John, hello. So shout out to Bill Berkey, Philadelphia Eagles legend. Rest in peace. Before we get into the Cowboys game real quick, just going to have a moment of silence to remember the Eagles legend, Bill Berkey. Now it's on to the main subject of this. We're going to talk about the Eagles Cowboys matchup. So tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the Link, Eagles are minus 7.5-point favorites against the Cowboys to win that matchup, which makes sense considering we're the better all-around team. But did you hear the announcer Greg Gumbel? Yeah, that's right, Greg Gumbel, the basketball legendary announcer, college basketball announcer Greg Gumbel passed away. That's something. That's something else I'm going to have to dedicate a separate video to, or a YouTube short remembering Greg Gumbel. So yeah, thanks for reminding me. I forgot about that, but yes, I did hear about that, and I'll definitely have a tribute coming up to him as well. And so I will get to that later. Whereas in here, the Cowboys game, we are the favorites minus 7.5. Despite that, though, there's a big asterisk. Is a big story we have to talk about for that game. It just broke yesterday, so we're going to talk about that. You guys can see right here. Show you guys the Eagles depth chart. You see right there, Jalen Hurts is out. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is out, folks. So he will not be participating in this game. Jalen Hurts is out. You see, that's going to have a big effect, meaning that Kenny Pickett will have to be the starter for us in this matchup. In the rest of our roster, we look healthy for the most part. Although Nakobe Dean's questionable. But yeah, that's going to be that's a huge X factor on the game. Now, Kenny Pickett has to start. And yep. So now that's going to completely change the strategy of this game now. Because remember, because we saw last week the offense in the passing game was completely different under Kenny Pickett than it was Hurts. Remember the first quarter, we came out on fire. It was the strongest first quarter we had all season when Jalen Hurts was still playing. Then what happened? Jalen Hurts got injured, got put into concussion protocol, was out for the game. And then we had to rely on Pickett, and we know Pickett is limited in the passing game. Now, the Cowboys also have their injuries, too, that they're dealing with. So it's not just them. So the Cowboys have give me one sec. We got to scroll down a little bit. If you look at the wide receiver real quickly, you got CeeDee Lamb. See that? CeeDee Lamb, the top target in the Cowboys passing game, is out. As, of course, Dak's out with injury. He's been on IR. That's going to be a huge. But now that we're dealing with a situation where it's backup versus backup, we got to remember, Eagles fans, Cowboys fans, whatever happens tomorrow, no excuses. No excuses regardless of the outcome for who wins and who loses. I don't want to hear, oh, you beat a backup. If we Cowboys win, I don't want the Eagles fans to start with that. You beat a backup. And Cowboy fans, same thing. I don't want to hear, oh, you beat our backup twice. Well, second time, if it does go that way, well, I'll say second time we had our backup too. So I don't want to hear any of the you beat a backup excuses from the losing team's fan base, whether that be us or the Cowboys. I'm just going to put that out there right now. But also, you got so now the Cowboys are going this without their top receiver, which is going to be a big factor in this one. And you also, so now we're going to take before we get into the key player matchups, we're going to take a look at the team matchups this time around. Because that's going to be a big fact. And we're going to look at that first and then dive into the player matchup. So I got pulled up via ESPN. Here's the preview for the team matchups, how both teams match up offensively and defensively. I'm going to share the screen with you guys in a second. So here we go. So we got the Cowboys offense. Overall, they're 16th. They're 28th on the rush, 10th in the pass. Their defense is 27th overall, 27th against the rush, 21st against the pass, which ties into what Greg John said, that we got to try to run the ball and focus heavily on the run. And if you see, the Cowboys ranked 27th against the rush. We'll dive into that a little bit more in a moment. Now, for us on the offense, we're 6th overall, 1st in the rush, 31st in the pass, but let's face it, I don't think that's going to really matter too much. And then our defense, we're 1st overall, 9th against the rush, 2nd against the pass. So we look at those matchups. We could have the edge. And Pape, now we see why it's -7.5 odds. Because, hey, things are working out in our favor. You see here where the Cowboys rank, where we rank, and that's now going to tie into the player matchups. But before we get into that, I got to step aside for just 1 minute. I'll put some music in the background, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, folks, after that quick break now. So now I'm back, ready to continue this stream right here. Those of you that might just be tuning in, or they might be coming in a minute or so, Eagles, I just went through the odds, paid tribute to Bill Berge. Now, at the point of the stream, we're going to talk about the important player matchups. I'm going to give an overview there. Now, the important player and team matchups in this matchup, we're going to start with the first one. The biggest factor on the offensive side of the ball is the Eagles' run game versus the Cowboys' run defense. Like we just said moments ago, it's confirmed via ESPN, the Cowboys ranked 27th versus the run throughout the season on defense, while the Eagles' offense is first in the run overall. Now, that also has to do with the fact that you've had both Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley in the offense. But now with this case, you don't have Jalen Hurts. You got to rely on Saquon. But Saquon's been dominating himself. He's closing in on the rushing record this season. He could break Eric Dickerson's record for most rushing yards in a single season. And against that Cowboys run defense, he has a great chance in this one. So we got to factor that in right there. So that's going to be a key matchup there. And that's the most favorable matchup the Eagles have in this one. That's your first matchup in this case. Then the second one is the Eagles defense versus Cooper Rush. Now, in the past 5 games, the Cowboys have won 4 of their last 5. But that is also against teams such as the Giants, the Commanders, the Bucks, and the Panthers. 2 of those teams, tank bowl contenders. One of those teams, the playoff team, in an upset went over the Commanders. But, hey, it's football. Upsets happen. It was just one of those games the Cowboys had their number. And the Buccaneers, Bucks are a streaky team. They're always, hit or miss. Sometimes they play up, sometimes they don't. Eagles took advantage of them and got the W. So the Eagles got the win there. So the Cowboys have won 4 of their last 5. Their loss was to the Bengals in a close game where the Bengals offense got the better of them in the passing game. But, while Cooper Rush has statistically played better, yes, he has 9 TDs, 1 INT in those games. But most part, they have been against struggling defenses in favorable situations. This Eagles defense, who even despite losing last week to the Commanders, still got a total of 5 takeaways, 2 picks, 3 fumbles against the Washington Commanders, despite giving up 1 touchdowns, 5 that specifically. This time around, they're going against Cooper Rush, who doesn't have the same passing and running asset as Jaden Daniels did for the Commanders. So that should be a favorable matchup for us there. We could get takeaways on Jaden Daniels. We should be able to do the same against Cooper Rush. I mean, the stats shouldn't fool us. And remember, Cooper Rush is also down. He's down his top receiver, CeeDee Lamb, who's 3rd in receiving yards. You have Ferguson Tolbert will be the top targets for the Cowboys in the passing game. So that should be favorable for the Eagles in this case. We're mostly healthy on secondary. Granted, we gave up 5 Ts against the Commanders, but it was also one of the top offenses. This is a downgrade in terms of competition on the offense against offense. So we should do much better this time around. And then another key matchup is also the Eagle, it's going to be Kenny Pickett versus that Cowboys defense, because we saw Kenny Pickett late in the Cowboys game in garbage time when we were up, we didn't need to play our starters. Pickett stepped in for a few plays, and you have like a fumble or some like bad pass or something happened in that game. This was in garbage time when the game was out of reach when we had them. But that one pass is a little bit of room for concern. But to be fair, Pickett's had more time now to practice with the team, so he should be adjusted to it a little bit. But then again, he was questionable throughout the week, so I wonder, will he really be ready? But that's an important matchup. I mean, with Pickett in the passing game, we're going to have to try to stick to some of the basics, like screen passes, screens, check downs, and So we're not going to really have as much mobility in the passing game. Now that ties into the keys to victory. The first key to victory in this matchup is we got to be able to successfully run the ball, which I have no doubt we're going to be able to do. We got Saquon Barkley in the game. We're going against a Cowboys team that struggles against the run. This should be an excellent game for Saquon. And with Kenny Pickett, he being limited in the passing game, like we just said, we saw last week had an ugly interception. We tried to rely on the run. It wasn't as effective last week against the Commanders, but that's just one game. We should be able to come back this week, play much better on the run as a whole against the Cowboys. Because all the statistics are indicating Eagles should beat the Commanders or the Cowboys, especially with the run game. All signs are pointing to us being able to do so with that Cowboys run defense being 27th. So the key right there is to focus on the run game. Now, when you don't have Pickett, doesn't have the mobility of Hurts, so you're not going to have those quarterback sneaks, RPOs to roll at the pocket, which is going to have an effect on the passing game. So you're going to have to try to get some screen passes in there, maybe do some screen passes to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. Maybe to some check downs to Goddard. You're going to have to go in that direction a little bit with the passing game. But you're going to have to rely mainly on the run. Now, without Hurts, I'd say Kenneth Gainwell might get a few more reps in this one. Obviously, he's not going to be the starter, of course. That's going to be Saquon Barkley. What I'm saying is you might see Kenneth Gainwell get a few more carries in short yardage situations. Now, obviously, we can't run the ball every single play. Of course not. But we might have a few plays where we try to bolster the run game in short yardage situations with Gainwell because we don't have Jalen Hurts to make those plays on his feet. So we're going to have to rely heavily on the run game. And the second key to victory, like I talked about, is we got to force some turnovers on defense. I alluded to it in the important matchups, talk about the Eagles defense versus Cooper Rush. Now, Cooper Rush on paper has played much better the last 5 games, 9 TDs, 1 INT. But remember, that was against teams such as, the Panthers, the Giants, the Bengals, who don't really have a good offense. So that plays a factor in it there. But you got to get some turnovers like we did last week. Because I feel like this time around going against the Cowboys, those turnovers will come in handy more because they don't have the same surge in their offense that the Commanders did under Jaden Daniels. So if we can just get the turnovers against the Cowboys, that'll help us out for sure. Especially if we get them in their own territory, we get those turnovers, we get short fields. That can help us, just run, help us with run situations on short fields. You know what I mean? Like if we get a turnover, we get the ball at the Cowboys 29. Saquon could do most of the work to get us to the end zone. But you can also rely on A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith in the passing game too. So it's also key that we get some turnovers as well. Another key in this one is to get off to a hot start. Now, people say, well, last week we did that. That was no good. True, but we did get off to somewhat of a hot start against the Rams. Remember, we got 13 points in the first half, our hottest start of the season, and we just took off the second half. First half against the Steelers, we did a pretty good job in the first half, and that helped us win that game. So sometimes getting off to a hot start early can help out. So that's another key there to victory. So now those are my main keys to victories. The recap are focus on the run, especially with Saquon, and to some degree Gainwell in short yard situations, but especially with Saquon, that's the number one key to victory. Number 2, the forced turnovers. Number 3, get off to a hot start. Those are my main 3 keys to victory in this one. If anyone else wants to add keys to victory, we don't really have anyone really in the chat right now, but if you're catching this on the replay and you want to comment, if you're watching this, you want to comment, leave me your keys to victory, feel free to do so. That being said, pretty much done with this one. Now, when it comes to score predictions for this one, I don't know, my mind's just like waking up today, my mind's kind of a little bit, there's other stuff going on in the world that's kind of got my mind a little worried right now. Might be throwing off my thinking. Yeah, it is Pickett's time to shine. You got that right. And based off what happened with your team and the fact that you gave up on them, that's not the most optimistic thing in the world. But like I said, we focus mainly on the run games. use AJ and Smitty to make the plays in the passing game, do screen plays, check downs, defense make stops. We should be good in this one. But yeah, as I was saying, when it comes to my score prediction, at first I'm like kind of waking up. I got a bunch of other stuff going on in the world. It's in my life that I'm focused on related to this. That it's kind of got my thinking in the I'm on the cynical side a little bit, thinking, so to say. So I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go. We're without our starting quarterback. Remember with Gardner Minshew in 2022 against the Saints, week 17. It's that all over again. And then like we haven't swept the Cowboys since 2011. Got me a little bit cynical, but realistically, prediction-wise, I see us winning this game 27-20, we'll say. We should be able to win this matchup if we just, if we stick to the script, mainly focus on the run, get stops, we should be good in this one. But we'll have to ultimately see what happens, man. But either way, Eagles should get the job done, get this W, move on. Move on. Now, we'll have to see what happens, but I will come back. I'll be back on Monday sometime to talk about it. Most likely, I'll be back Monday evening to talk about it, recap this game, probably sometime around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Monday, I'll be back to recap this game. We'll see. So we'll see what happens. Hey, as long as we get the W, lock up the division, I'm happy. So that's why this game's important, because we got to win this to lock up the division. And wouldn't that be nice? We sweep the Cowboys for the first time since 2011 and lock up the division. That's great. Now, don't be wrong. I believe we got the division locked up anyway. You got the Cowboys and Giants on the schedule. Shoot, we win one of those two games. I believe we got it. I believe we're good. But, hey, I just want us to beat the Cowboys, lock up that division, sweep them for the season, get this dub, come back here Monday in a celebratory mood and talk about it. But we still have to wait and see what happens. But I'm hoping that's what goes down, even with Kenny Pickett. So as long as we just get this win, we're good. So we'll see what happens. With that being said, to everyone that stopped by, Gregor, John, Chad, everyone else that stopped by for the stream, live for a few minutes. For most of the stream, we're on the replay. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for showing your support, because as always, I always thank you guys, because without you guys, we wouldn't be doing these streams. So always, guys, thanks for your support. It really means a lot, and I appreciate it. So we're going to ultimately see what happens. That being said, have a great rest of your day or great night if you're catching this on the replay. So, stay safe out there. If you're going out there, 28-17, Chad. Thanks for your score prediction. Being said, guys, have a safe weekend. If you're going to go out this weekend and have some alcohol while spending time with your family and friends, please do so safely. Call Uber, Lyft, taxi if you're going to go out. Make sure you drink responsibly. Enjoy the rest of your day or weekend. Stay safe. Until next time, your boy Nicky Stees signing off. Fly, Eagles, fly, and I'll catch you next time.